In today's Need to Know video, we're looking at this car, the used Ford Fiesta. Chances are you have owned or driven a Ford Fiesta, or at the very least you know somebody else that has, and that is because this car is Britain's biggest selling car of all time. Now, despite that, Ford decided in 2023 to stop production of the Ford Fiesta. That means that if you want to get hold of one, your only chance is on the used market. Now, fortunately, Britain's biggest selling car, there are lots and lots available to choose from. Just go to the website and you'll find plenty listed for sale at Motors. That also means that there are quite a lot of options to pick from in terms of trim and engine level. So we'll touch upon those today and try to help you find which one might be best for you. Now, the Fiesta has always majored on driving dynamics and economy. And in this latest generation, Ford also looked to up the ante in terms of the materials and how quality the car feels compared to rivals like the Volkswagen Polo. So let's hop inside and see what the Fiesta is all about. More superminis are bought than any other type of car across Europe, so it's safe to say the market is a tough one. But it's a market that the Fiesta has dominated, within the UK at least, since its launch in the 1970s. Ford clearly struck upon a formula that worked and stuck to it, and they've been producing small cars that are practical and cheap to run, but also fun to drive too, ever since. With this final generation, Ford has as wide a range of variants to choose from as ever. Whether you want economy or performance, you'll find it. There's even the Fiesta Active, which is for those that want their family hatch to look like it can go off-road. In an effort to take on all comers, Ford also took the Fiesta more upmarket, making this generation of Fiesta the most premium yet. While Vignale trim has as much luxury as you could ever find in a car like a Fiesta, there are great levels of tech and equipment across all but the most basic cars within the range. And, being the most modern of all Fiestas, this final generation is the safest, most spacious and most efficient of them all. So if you want the cheapest Fiesta you can get your hands on, then you're probably looking at style trim. It doesn't give you much in terms of equipment. You don't get alloy wheels. You do get electric mirrors and electric windows, but that's about it. If you want a little bit more equipment, but you don't really want to go the full hog and opt for the most expensive Fiesta around, then you can go for Z-Tech. Z-Tech trim is nicely balanced, to be honest with you. You get 15-inch alloy wheels, you get a heated front windscreen, you get aircon, and you also get a decent touchscreen infotainment system. Top spec Vignale has absolutely everything you could possibly wish for, and then between Z-Tech and Vignale there's this car, the Titanium X, that has a real considerable amount of equipment, and if that's what you want some of the bells and whistles, then this is probably the best option to go for in terms of balancing cost and equipment, because what we have here is heated seats, we've got a heated steering wheel, we've got cruise control, we've got a nice big clear touchscreen infotainment system, and we've even got a lovely digital dash as well. In the back of the Fiesta, I'm actually really pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you. Now, the seat is not in my driving position. As I mentioned, I am just over 6'1", so I've had to move the seat forwards a little bit into a more regular driving position. And you know what? The knee room really isn't bad at all. And these seats, much like the seats in the front, are really quite comfortable. I am surprised by how comfortable they are. I have been in bigger cars that do not seem to offer this kind of space and comfort in the rear. So I'm quietly impressed by what we've got here. The plastics, much like the front, they're a little bit scratchy, and there's not much in the way of cubby space here. There's also no air vents, so you're not going to be getting AC blowing into the back of the car. But in terms of a comfortable place to sit, it definitely scores really quite well. You've got some ISOFIX points. They're not covered by any pieces of plastic, but that means that they're not particularly easy to access. You're going to have to root around between the seat to get to them, but they are there. Now, one area where the Fiesta does struggle a little compared to rivals is boot space. We've got 290 litres here, which when you look at it seems like quite a usable space, but when you compare it to rivals like the Renault Clio, it's a little down. The Clio's got almost 100 litres more space in the boot. The boot itself is quite a nice square shape, but there's really significant load lip. So putting stuff in and out is actually going to be a little bit difficult because it really drops quite far down. One positive about the boot is that there is a 60-40 split, so if you wanted to carry passengers and a slightly longer item, you could just pop one of the seats down and you could still get 2 passengers in the back of the car. Now, the Fiesta is not as premium as Volkswagen Polo, nor is it as cheap as a Vauxhall Corsa, but what it is better to drive than both of those cars, and that is kind of the USP of the Fiesta. It's the most fun to drive. Especially with this little 1-litre engine, it's surprisingly peppy. It pulls away really nicely from junctions like this right now. No worries about am I getting out of the roundabout. The steering is, well, look, it's not the most responsive. You don't get a lot of steering feel, shall we say, but the car goes where you point it. It feels very, very nicely balanced, nicely weighted, and whatever situation you're in, so whether that's driving around town, whether that's down a country lane, or even on a dual carriageway or a motorway, the Fiesta just kind of feels very secure. There's not an environment that it can't deal with. And yeah, it's surprisingly fun to drive, even in a stripped back kind of basic spec. You don't need to be going and getting an ST to have a bit of fun driving the Fiesta. In terms of engine choices, there are just too many to even list, so we won't go there, but what I will say is that the car that we're in today, this 1-litre EcoBoost engine, that's the pick of the range. It gives you absolutely everything you need. It's powerful enough, it's got good economy, and it's just a real kind of sweet spot. You don't need to look elsewhere unless you are in search of kind of real outright economy or a bit of performance. So if you're searching for economy, then there are obviously diesel options with 2 different power variants in the 1.5 litre diesel. The 84 horsepower version, which is the lower powered version, that's the one to go for just outright economy. If you want something a bit more performance oriented, then you can get the Fiesta in ST spec. That's got a 1.5 litre petrol engine pushing out nearly 200 horsepower and will get you from 0 to 62 mile an hour in 6.5 seconds. So it's properly quick and maybe a little bit unnecessary. The smaller engined petrol models, such as this, well, they require servicing every 2 years or every 18,000 miles, whichever comes sooner. So yeah, little less to worry about on the smaller engine petrols. The one thing to bear in mind is if you're going for a diesel is DPF issues. The Fiesta is a small car. Yes, it's a family car, but it is a small car. So you're going to imagine that it's predominantly going to have been used for local, shorter journeys. And as we know at this point, diesel engines do not like that. The diesel particulate filters, they need to regen, they need to burn off the soot that accumulates inside, and short journeys doesn't allow basically the car to get up to temperature to do that. So if you're looking at a diesel model, it's worth doing a bit of digging and asking what kind of journeys the car has done to make sure you've got no DPF issues. The Fiesta does have a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, but it's worth keeping in mind that the Fiesta was actually tested under the old regulations. Now, that doesn't mean it's not safe, it just means that under the new regulations, a lot more emphasis is put on safety equipment that help the driver. So things like lane keeping assist and autonomous braking, that kind of stuff. And a lot of Fiesta models do have those features. It's just that some of the basic spec lower models won't have those driver aids. If you're after a family supermini that offers a good blend of practicality, economy, premium materials and a good driving performance, you could do a lot worse than the Ford Fiesta. No, it's not as high quality as a VW Polo, but it is much better to drive. And it's also a lot cheaper too. And if you're sensible with your engine and spec choices, you really could get a car that's very well equipped. Now, on those engine and trim choices, there are a lot. So it's worth doing your research and narrowing down exactly which one is right for you, because ultimately there are lots and lots of used Ford Fiestas available on the market. So finding the right one for you shouldn't be too difficult if you know what it is you're looking for. So if you've enjoyed this review, please give us a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss any more of our need to know videos. And maybe the Ford Fiesta isn't for you. You are considering something more premium like that Polo, or maybe you want something a bit cheaper like the Vauxhall Corsa. If that's the case, you can view reviews of these vehicles on our website and on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.